Three. Let me see. Dun dun dun. Yeah, we're live.
We're good.
Yeah, we live. Yeah. It's AGTV. I got my guy Kenneth in here. What's up, man?
What's up? Not much. Just
Yeah.
chilling, hanging out.
Yes, sir. Man, if you haven't been tuned in to this, man, I don't know what the fuck you've been doing with your life.
What did you? So
Go ahead.
you listened to that whole thing with Reggie and his response to Gene. What'd you think of it?
I think it was. I think Reggie is such a nice dude, man. Like,
See, I thought he went in like he went in more than I expected him to, just because he's kept it. He always pokes at him, but he's kept it pretty civil for the most part.
right for
So
the
he kind of,
right.
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off, but for the people who don't know, just tuning in and haven't been keeping up with this, if you don't know, from what I thought was that Gene and Reggie were friends. They were tight, at least cool, or you know what
Right,
I mean.
right. Well, I
And
thought that they
go ahead,
real quick. I thought I didn't so much think that they were friends. I just felt like,
cordial.
you know, right, they both are like kind of in the same arena, that they kind of talk about similar shit, and so they just had like a mutual respect where even
Right.
though they didn't agree with each other, they just kept it civil and whatever. But
Exactly, and I believe that. I mean, it just looks like they had an understanding. You know what I mean?
right.
And as of recent, Reggie's in jail now. He's doing federal time. He's doing like 18 months. Good luck to him. Free Reggie Wright. But
Hmm.
Gene, yeah, I don't know what it is with him, bro. Like, I don't know if he does this like on purpose, just like he's running out of things, shit to say. Like, but he recently called Reggie Wright a cooperating witness, like a snitch.
Right.
I
So I
wish,
think
yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know if this is something like Gene has thought about, or if the people in the chat start throwing shit out there and it gets him going. And you know what I'm saying? Like, the people in the chat are like feeding him all this shit, and half of the stuff they say that about Reggie isn't true. And so Reggie's just like starting to believe all this, or Gene's just starting to believe all this crazy shit. I don't know. I feel like the chat gets him riled up to say a lot of this shit. But
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It is a little like he gets hyped up off of that.
right. So yeah, anyway, he called Reggie a snitch. He basically was saying that he thinks that Reggie got a reduced sentence. That the reason, because Reggie, he got like an 18-month sentence, and he's hoping to only do maybe 9 months of that sentence and then get out through a halfway house, or whatever they plan on doing. But Gene is basically trying to accuse him of getting such a lenient sentence because he cooperated with Greg Kading and helped him make murder rap. And
Right.
so that's like where all this originated. And the reason, I mean, and Reggie responded, and he had a right to be pissed off, especially because Gene waited until he had just gone in there. He's been in there about a week,
That's a punk
and
move.
Gene's
Yeah.
right,
That's a punk move.
and
Go ahead.
right, and so he waited until about a week after Reggie went in, and then he started saying all that. But the stuff that Gene said doesn't even make any sense to begin with. The whole little theory about him working on that documentary for for reduced time. First of all, that he originally, the DVD of the documentary, or the actual film part of the documentary, was made in like 2015, right? 2015, 2016.
Right.
But the book was back in like 2011, and Reggie was actually working with Greg, or like not working with him, but Greg came to talk to him to get as much information as he could back in like 2008.
Right.
And so, bottom line is, like, this was like 8 years ago. It was like 8 years before Reggie got in any trouble when he talked to Greg Kading. So it's basically, long story short, it's impossible for this deal or this cooperation that Gene's talking about to have happened, because Reggie wasn't even in trouble when he did all that shit. Bottom
Right.
line. I know I kind of rambled there, but that's like the bottom line of it.
Right. I think no. It's need to be. It needs to be told, and it's crazy how he's just doing that because, like you said, like the investigation, like Reggie didn't get in tied up with the feds until like what,
I think I
2017?
think it was like, yeah, I think it was like late 2016, early 2017. But if you look, I think it said that they had been watching him or like investigating this whole thing since like 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. They've been investigating it for like 3 years before they finally busted them all.
Right.
But even then, though, Reggie wasn't aware that he was being investigated, and even if he was aware, he worked with Greg originally back in 2008, so it was still before any of this happened.
Exactly. Exactly, man.
So and it also doesn't make sense because Greg, he's LAPD, and I know like during while he was working on the Tupac or I'm sorry, the Biggie murder, he was federalized. He was given a federalized task force, but he was still an LAPD officer. It doesn't just automatically make him this FBI agent that can start like wheeling and dealing on random drug cases in Tennessee. You know what I mean?
Right. Somebody in the chat is saying, "Do why don't they show the missing picture?" Gene is talking about. Show the picture.
This this is what I think. Okay, so I could be wrong, but I'm like 90% sure I'm right on this. So Gene has been talking about this picture that Greg had that he was scared to show. So Greg said, "All right, you want to see it? Here, I've got it." He gave it to Reggie to post up on Bomb First. So Reggie posts the picture on Bomb First. It's surveillance. It's a still shot from surveillance footage from the night Biggie was killed. Shows the Muslim guy in the bow tie standing in the parking garage. And as soon as Gene sees that and it doesn't show what Gene said it shows, he's like, "Oh, no, 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 that's not the picture I'm talking about. It's the other picture." But I really believe that that is the picture that Gene was talking about. But since he was just kind of exaggerating or making it out to be more than it was. So when this photo was shown and it didn't show Puffy, do you get what I'm saying? When it didn't show Puffy and the guy
Right.
standing side by side, he was just like, "Oh, no, no, that's not the picture. There's another one." I don't think there is another picture. I
Yeah.
think the picture that Greg showed is the picture. And just because it wasn't what he said it was, now he's trying to backtrack and be like, "Oh, no, no, there's a different one."
Yeah, exactly. So he could do that all day then.
Right,
That's the thing. He could do that all day. It doesn't matter what picture you show. You know what I mean? You could show him all the pictures. You could show him all the footage. He could be
right.
like, oh no, that's not it. That's not it.
Right. And what Gene, like, I know, and this is something he said too in his last live stream, he was talking about how in the court of law, eyewitness testimony is reliable. And that's true. In court, eyewitness testimony is reliable. But, like, whether you're talking about other fields, like whether it's science or anything else, everyone knows that eyewitness testimony, like human memory, is really unreliable. A
Right.
lot of people, like, you play a game of telephone, and that right there tells you how unreliable the human memory is. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, when you, like, for you, for example, if you try to remember, say you got into a fight with a friend, an argument, or you got into a fist fight, whatever,
Yeah.
10 years later, when you recall that same memory, you still remember the overall, like, gist of what happened, but you don't really remember it exactly the way it happened. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times your memory, if you were to like go back in time to that event, it's a little different than actually how you remember it. So like I'm not denying Gene saw someone in a bow tie. I'm not denying that, that he saw what he thinks he saw. I just don't believe
That was
that
Amir
it was
Muhammad.
mere right. I think that he saw the bow tie guy. Then, Amir Muhammad's pictures popping up in magazines, Russell Poole, and these people are like putting it in his face. And so he's just, you know what I'm saying? It like made him believe that that's who he saw.
Right. Exactly.
And yeah, so, and I don't know if someone sent me a message about this. I haven't actually gone to see it, so I don't know if it's real. But Gene was, Reggie had gone around saying that they were at the Soul Train Awards and Keefe had pulled a gun, and so Reggie pulled a gun out too. And then Gene came along and said that wasn't Keefe D with the gun, that was C. Gutter that had the gun. Well, someone told me that C. Gutter did another interview where he said Gene was wrong about that and that he had never pulled a gun at the Soul Train Awards. And so
Mm.
I could be wrong. I don't know if that clip's out there. That's just what someone told me. But if that clip is out there, that right there shows that Gene's memory isn't as reliable as he would
Right.
like to think it is.
You know what the thing about Gene is that he likes to repeat and just like First of all, I think the man had a miserable fucking life. For you to go on YouTube every once in a while and trash me, Kading, like that's all you think about, bro. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm right
Right.
and you're wrong, and I was there. You were there, and you
Right.
could, and if you were to be in a courtroom and be cross-examined, you will be slaughtered. I guarantee you that. That's how
Right.
incredible you are. You know, you will be freaking slaughtered, up
Well,
and down.
and he knows that. And the fact is, no, they would never put him on the stand in a trial, knowing that the first photo lineup he was shown, he circled a different person's photo, knowing that he did that and then later changed and said it was Amir Muhammad. They
Exactly.
would never put him on the stand because his
Never.
credibility would be ripped apart.
Never.
Now I know he'll say, no, I didn't say that that was the guy I saw. I said that he kind of looked like the guy that I saw. But dude, when you're shown a photo lineup, that's not, when you circle someone's picture, you're not circling it to say, oh, he kind of looked like this guy. You're circling and initialing next to a picture because you are supposed to be IDing who you saw.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like I said, I believe he thinks that he saw what he saw, but I just don't. I don't. None of the bottom line is this: he's like one man versus a mountain of evidence that contradicts him. So it's basically like Gene Deal and Russell Poole's word versus everyone else.
Right.
And so when you've got a mountain of evidence and everyone else who believes one thing, and then you just have Gene Deal and Russell Poole who believe another, you know, who are you going to believe?
All right. I just want to play something real quick, and for the people. Wait, Reggie just went to prison, but please enlighten me, brothers and sisters.
What do you say?
Somebody just is not tuned in. He just said what's going on. So basically, Reggie went into when he's doing federal time right now. He's doing a few months, and as of recent, Gene did a video and where he called Reggie a snitch, basically. And Reggie responded. If you go to Bomb First, shout out to Bomb First, their YouTube channel, you'll hear Reggie's response. It just came out. Now, I just want to play something. It seems like Gene Deal it just is based off emotions. Like, let me just play this. Let this clip speak for itself, and then if Kenneth, I'm not sure you'll be able to watch it because there is a delay. And
Let me see.
let me just send you a link real quick.
Okay.
But let me play it. Hopefully the stream health doesn't look too good, and hopefully this doesn't like for the people watching doesn't come up choppy.
Tony on Facebook writes in, did you hear or know if Keefe D's claims that they were offered money to hit Pac by Puff were true?
Nah, I can't say that it was true or false because I wasn't there and I was never there for Keefe D and Puff to have any kind of conversation. You know, when I was there and Keefe D was in our presence, we was gambling, having fun. And that was it.
But he started Xing people out that he knew more than what he wanted to be told in the investigation. You know, his main objective and his main goal was to clear LAPD of any wrongdoing. And that's what he was there for. You know, he went as far as to tell lies and make up lies and push Keefe D to make up lies. You know.
Tony on Facebook writes in, did you hear or know if Keefe D's claims that...
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
Okay, so I don't even need to explain it, but go ahead. You take it. You take it. Go ahead.
Right.
Kenneth.
So in one clip, he's saying he can't say whether it's true or not true that Puffy paid Keefe to kill Tupac. And then later he changed his story and said there's no way that Puffy had anything to do with it.
And you know why he
Right,
said
like
that?
that-
Because he's seen. I think that's when he retired, and then that's when he got emotional after everything, after like plenty. I'm guessing plenty of interviews he was sent, and just got in a tirade and just started saying that. But please go ahead. My bad.
Right. And, you know, I feel like a lot of it is I feel like a lot of his anger and like the reason he's switching up is he's mad about money. I feel like he thinks that
Yeah.
Greg Kading like kind of stole his paycheck. because before he was able to put his book out, his documentary, you know what I'm saying? Him be the first one to speak on it because he was there. And if nobody had come out and all of a sudden Biggie's bodyguard or Puffy's bodyguard came out and told the story, it would have been huge, I think. And then Greg came along right before him and did it, and it kind of, Gene can't even get a Vlad interview now. And I feel like that's why he hates Greg so much and he's pissed.
Yeah, I think overall it's because Gene was there, and he looks at it. Oh, why is this white dude an authority to speak on these cases when he wasn't even there? But I mean, bro, he's done it. He did the investigation. He does all the background check that you need to do. You know what I mean? Like, what else is there? Bro, you were there and you still don't provide enough information to convict anybody. You know what I mean? Like, And it just my bad. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and back to what he said when he was like, I can't say if it's true or if it's not true because when Keefe was around me and Puffy, we were gambling, having fun. Well, the thing is like he would never know because Keefe D said that conversation about the money to kill Tupac and Suge happened at Greenblatt's Deli in L.A. So unless Gene was there, he would never know about that conversation anyway. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like, and Keefe D said that when that conversation happened, him and Puffy went to, he pulled him to the side and they had a private conversation. So for him to say like, there's no way Puffy could have done that. But then like, the thing is this, Gene's story makes no sense because in one interview or one video, he'll say, Puffy's not like that. He's a businessman. He would never do anything like that. And then in the next interview, he's blaming crooked LAPD cops for killing Biggie. And then in the next interview, he's blaming Puffy and saying it was like an inside job.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's blaming the Nation of Islam and saying that, like, I forgot the dude's name that was there. There was another security guard there. There was somebody there that Gene was saying was acting suspicious that night, and he thinks he might have had something to do with it. So it's just like his story bounces all over.
Right.
And if you're saying Puffy is not the type of dude that would put money out to have Suge and Tupac killed, how are you going to turn around later and say that, like, you think Puffy might have had something to do with Biggie being killed?
Right. And and if you notice, like, his last live was I think it was around Halloween or something, and he kept on saying, like, this is his exact words, like, not his exact words, but he was just saying, like, Puffy was getting all the girls and just like trying to like distract him or something. I'm like, bro, if you're distracted, then that's an issue with you're like with you. Like you shouldn't be distracted, bro. Like, what you doing?
Right.
Stay on your toes. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Right, and maybe he's trying to say that Puffy was involved in Biggie's death, like, in the sense
he's insinuating it.
Right, but I'm saying, like, maybe he means it in the sense of, like, he kept trying to warn him, like, let's get out of here, and then Puffy wouldn't leave.
Right.
But, whatever. But
he's like, spooky, spooky.
Right. It's just you can't follow along because you never know you never know what he's saying. Like, in one video he's saying one thing, in the next video he's adding something in, taking something away, and everyone that is a supporter of his talks about how, like, he's never changed his story from day one. His story changes all the damn time.
Every day, every life.
Yeah. Like, literally, I remember one of the first times I heard him come out, he was trying to say that he thought it had something to do with the Nation of Islam that Puffy had gotten into it with at the award show, and then, a couple weeks later, he's saying that it was crooked LAPD cops, and you know what I'm saying? Like, which one is
information?
Right, or with him, maybe he's got like this conspiracy mind, and it's everyone. It's the cops, the Nation of Islam. They're all working together. But
next thing you know, is the president.
Right. Let's get real. Like, we know what the hell happened. Like, it makes sense. Tupac got killed. Death Row came back. Even for people who don't want to believe that it was Poochie, which, I mean, we all pretty much know it was. Number one, we've got an eyewitness that was there that confirmed it, and a couple of people who know Poochie off the record that have confirmed it. But yeah, I mean, there's just no evidence to support anything Gene says. The Amir Muhammad thing, literally anyone could call in with any evidence they have, and I could debunk it. And I'm just an average person,
right,
and I know enough to debunk it. You know what I'm saying? So bottom line is, like, they were kind of getting off subject. I know this was supposed to be about Reggie's response, but Gene is just not credible, and he can sit there and talk loud and run his mouth
Yep.
and talk about how I was there, you weren't there, you don't know shit. But the bottom line is, you don't have to be somewhere to know what happened.
Yeah.
You know, like, you don't have to actually witness something to know what happened. And yeah, he was there, but like at the end of the day, Gene didn't see anything either. He wasn't in the same car as Biggie. They had already gone through the light when the shooting happened. So it's not like he was sitting right next to him and watched everything happen.
Yeah. What do you think about
But,
the notion that he says that um, the cameras and about in the museum and they're keeping the footage. You know what I mean? I guess the LAPD is keeping the footage away from or hiding the footage. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think about that? Cameras in the, outside and inside the museum that didn't catch any of this, or
right. Well,
may have caught.
basically, what he's doing, it's like if you're like, say for example, you're like in a debate with someone, like a professional debate. There's something called special pleading, where if you have evidence that someone can't refute, they like it's a conspiracy. It's like something you can't debunk. Like, for example, we could say all day long, we could say, hey, the police know, or we had a police officer was an eyewitness and he saw Poochie pull the trigger. And then Gene would come along and say, well, no, that's a crooked LAPD cop that is lying. He's being paid by the government to lie. Like, he like comes up with something that you can't prove or disprove. It's just you get what I'm saying? I know it's kind of a confusing example, but he just throws out something that is impossible to prove. Like, we know for a fact from pictures that the Peterson Museum didn't have any cameras on the side of the building pointed at the light. We know that for a fact. But if Gene says that the government or the LAPD is like hiding videos, there's no way to ever prove or disprove that. But we can use common sense and look at photos of the building and say, we don't see any cameras there. So, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's kind of a confusing example. Bottom line is this.
Yeah, and to remind people, this is 1997. This is not it didn't go down in 2005. You know, cameras weren't really. We don't have the same cameras we had now that we had back then. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we have HD
Right.
cameras that can pick up. You know what I mean? You could blow it up and make out a face. If there were any cameras there, you're not gonna see anything. It doesn't pick up nothing.
Right. I'll put it like this, an example. I've seen surveillance photos from inside the Peterson the night Biggie was killed, and I've seen video of that night from the surveillance cameras. It's grainy. If somebody walks by in front of the camera, right underneath the camera, you can't even make out what their face looks like. All you can see is that it's a bald guy wearing a suit. You know what I mean? It's super grainy, super low quality, and that's it. You know, and so even if they had cameras on the outside of the building, you wouldn't have been able to pick up a license plate, anything like that. And like you said, it was 1997. This wasn't a time where every street light had a camera set up on it and stuff like that. So, and then, you know, people want to say, well, you know, it had millions of dollars worth of cars inside. They should have cameras all over. They did have cameras inside the building, and they had cameras inside the parking garage. But there was no reason for them to have cameras pointed at the street, you know? So,
Right.
so yeah, there is footage from that night on the cameras, just not of the shooting, because the shooting happened on the street and there were no cameras in that direction.
Yeah, how much of a coward do you think Gene is for Gene to hold all that in until Reggie went to jail to say that to call Reggie a snitch?
Yeah, that's a bitch move.
Yeah.
It is, you know,
Yeah.
you wait till someone's locked up, and at the end of the day, Reggie's not going away forever. He's going to be back, and all of this, everything that's said is they're going to have to face it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So everyone's going to have to answer for what they said while Reggie was away.
Yeah. Let me see if I could play the code now. I mean, do you have time?
Yeah.
All right. Let me try to fix this.
Which clip is it?
It's the clip that just they put up on Bomb First.
Oh, yeah.
I think I just put. I'll play the audio. That's okay.
It's good to hear from you from behind bars. I know the Bomb First community and family. I've been wondering how you're doing, so it's good to hear from you. How's everything going so far?
Man, it's great, man. You know, shit, other than missing my family, this shit kind of cool, to be honest. but it's all good. Of course, being away from the family, it hurts and all of that. But and plus missing the Bomb First family. What up? I want to also shout out a couple of people that showed your boy some love. Of course, my girl Kim Ali and D Block. I appreciate that, and John Highland, of course. And there was two other people that shot me some love, but I didn't write their names down. Got a book in the mail from a boy, I think, Big Johnny Pooh, and then also got a letter from a single black female, my girl from Vegas. So appreciate you. So like I said, I don't know if any of y'all got a chance to write me yet or to look out. If so, keep it coming, because I done learned how to work this phone system and get shit going in here.
Yeah.
And so whatever y'all need to holler at me, y'all know how to email me now.
Yeah.
So if y'all really want to holler at a nigga, write him a letter. Y'all got to give me an address, a phone number, and an email address. And then they approve you. And then we can correspond with each other. And, that helps the day go by. It really does.
Yeah. Well,
Cost a little bit, but it helps the days go by.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Big John?
Well, your boy, I think he's a little mad because you poked at him, but Big Jin Deal had some stuff to say after you went in, talking about, I'll play it for the viewers so they can see it, but just for you to know, he basically says that Greg Caden's never had any information on the Biggie and Tupac case, that you basically filled him in on everything, and that you were an informant, and that's why you're doing the little time that you're doing now is due to the cooperation that you did with the cops or the feds. I don't know what he was. I honestly don't know fully what he was talking about. It made no sense to me, but he got on the live and said what he said.
So Greg Caden got all his information from Reggie. He wasn't around at all. You understand? Reggie told Greg Caden what he needed to tell him to save his father and himself. And to get the little time, he became a cooperating witness. We know that he's in jail for that. He's going to do his time. He's going to come back out and give a show all about me or all about this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. But he know what I'm talking about is true.
Damn, I wish that was true. But how could I cooperate on the Biggie matter? I think he just upset because he misidentified people.
This call is from a federal prison.
On 3 different occasions, and he wanted to keep trying to change the narrative, but we know already. But it's funny, Big Dean always talking. It's unfortunate that he wanted to tap at me once I get locked down, and quiet as a mouse when I was on the street. I was bold fast. Again, I was they were first talking, calling all the niggas around bad boys, homosexuals were sleeping with each other. But that's why I shot that conversation over to you, John. And if he keep running his mouth with my ass exposed, how he was calling names, him and keep calling most of those dudes around them gay. But that's either here or there. We know he like gays because that's why he fucks so tough with that nigga from the UK. That's why he's so tight with him. Yeah, because he like homosexuals. But it's funny too. The only people from the Bad Boys camp though that ever liked him, or he always say they liked him, they all dead. Meaning Zip, Von Zip, dead. What's that other boy name? Wolf. Yeah. No longer with us. But Puff and Lil C's and the dude C Gutter, who we all still alive, and we know were reputables in the Bad Boy camp during the height of everything. They all have nothing good to say about the brother.
All right, that's all I'll play from now. If you want to check it out, the full response, go to Bomb First. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah. Yo, Gene, this dude, what Gene is doing is a fucking scam, bro. He goes on live. All he wants to do is get super chats, bro. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Go get a goddamn job, bro. If you were tired, go
Yeah,
get a job, son.
and there's a couple things I was read while that was playing. I read in the chat that I wanted to address. A few things some people said. Uh, Big J said Reggie went to prison for shipping drugs over state lines, but ratted on everyone for a lesser charge. So my question would be, where's your evidence of that? Because unless, when you look at all of the co-defendants in this case, if they all had the same bond, they all got about the same sentence, how did Reggie snitch for a lesser charge? You have to know, you know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to back that up with something. You can't just say it and expect people to believe it. You gotta, you gotta be able to know what, you get what I'm saying? Like, if everyone got the same sentence, everyone got the same bond, the same sentence, the same charges, Reggie didn't rat. Like, these people are accusing Reggie of getting a lesser sentence when they don't even know what the hell the co-defendants got. Okay, and then Big J said Amir's from the 5% Nation, well-known assassin for hire. First of all, okay, Amir Muhammad, a.k.a. Harry Billups, was a real estate broker that lived in San Diego and was married. This guy wasn't an assassin. He's not he's not a 5%er. Like, people just, like, they literally just pull this shit out of their ass. They see it on a message board, or they see it on a comment section, and they believe it. You've got to have evidence to believe something. I don't know how to stress how important it is. You don't believe something until you see the facts. You don't just take someone's word for it. If you got some evidence to back that up, show it to me. But I just don't want to hear, oh, somebody said this. I want to be able to say, look, here's a document. Hey, here's a fucking membership. Here's a meeting, and here's a picture of him at the meeting.
Here's a paperwork.
Like, right. And then, let's see, Robert said everybody's story's been bouncing around for 20 years. I'm convinced it's all fake.
Those are the witnesses' fault.
Right, and then he said we got police and snitches telling the story.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is this: it was a crime. Police officers are usually the ones that investigate crime, so they're usually the ones that tell the story of a crime when it happens. When you want to know what happened, you don't usually, the murderer is not going to come up and confess and give you the details unless he rats. You gotta listen to what the police's investigation turned up. Police are usually the ones who do tell the story when a crime happens. True. So I don't know why it's strange for the police to be telling the story. These are 2 homicide cases that were investigated. True. And then Big J also said Reg got his house seized by the feds, then got it back. Just because you get a lien put on your house doesn't mean that they take it and you never get it back. You can work out deals. Whether you get a lien, a foreclosure, some banks, some people are willing to work deals with you to where you can set up a payment plan or you can do something to get your house back. So just like, all these random little accusations being thrown out, let's see some evidence. Let's see some facts to back this up.
Yeah, some dude said RJ Bond's YouTube channel has the paperwork on it. Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a minute.
The paperwork of what? Reggie's house getting a lien on it? So that means he's working for the government? I know, I'll say this. I've been a Tupac fan since 1995. I was young. I was 10 years old in 95. But that's when I started listening to him. I had the All Eyes on Me cassette tape, because that's when cassette tapes were still coming out. And then in 96, I got the Machiavelli CD. It was the first actual CD I bought. So bottom line is, I'm a big Tupac fan. But at the end of the day, you have to realize, everyone's talking about it's the FBI, it's the government, it's this and that. At the end of the day, these were in the eyes of the government, these were 2 rappers. These guys weren't even rich compared to people in the government or people who have real money. There's 600 billionaires in this country. Tupac and Biggie had a few million. That's not even considered wealthy to the real elites. If they're not, the government is not worried about 2 guys that are in their early 20s with a couple $1 million. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to be putting the CIA, the FBI, they're not going to be going to these lengths to cover up a murder. There's way bigger shit. The government's worried about, foreign policies and pulling off assassinations and shit in other countries. Yep. They're not worried about the government probably looked at Tupac and Biggie like 2 little annoying kids that needed to shut up. For real. They looked at them probably they looked at them, they were black. This was in the 90s. It was a lot more racist in the 90s. Their police, government-wise, they probably looked at it these are a couple young black kids, few $1 million, they're running their mouths, they need to shut up. but they're not going to go to like a 20-year cover-up murder. These people are acting like this is JFK, like Tupac and Biggie were on the level of JFK.
Yeah.
Or Malcolm X or something.
Yeah, Kenneth, you better not breathe hard around me, man. Don't breathe hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better hope you don't run into Gene.
Oh, I'm so scared, bro. I'm scared for my life.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I know, like with him, everyone thinks they're the biggest and the baddest, but like Gene probably doesn't realize you're just as big as he is. You know what I mean? You're like what, 6'3"? You're like 6'4"?
Yeah, 6'3". Yeah, Gene was like, "You ever seen me, bro? You ever seen me, bro?" And he does his evil laugh, his like menacing villain laugh. I was like, "Yo, this dude is funny."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Who talks like that? Who actually
you're
talks
the same
like
size
that?"
as him. You're the same size as him, but 30 years younger. You got youth on your side. You know what I'm saying? Like, get real.
I don't gotta take Viagra. I don't gotta take none of that, man. Free Reggie, man. We're gonna hold him down over here.
Yeah, but real quick, from what I was just saying, like I preface that with being a fan of Tupac because I am a fan, and I know like for years and years I also believed in the whole like government shit. You know what I mean? Especially when I was younger. But like as you get older, you realize that the government has way bigger priorities and way bigger people to worry about than two rappers that, in the scheme of things, don't even really have that much money or power. You know what I mean? Like, if they really wanted to get rid of Tupac, they would have just taken his money from him and locked his ass up and put him away in prison. Like, they had plenty of ways they could have come after him. He had already been convicted of a sex crime. Right. He was out on appeal. If they really wanted to like fuck up his reputation and make people quit messing with him and quit being fans of him, they would have just painted him out to be like some rapist. They would have found ways to investigate him and nickel and dime him with these investigations and find something he did wrong and lock him up and throw away the key.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as far as Biggie, he wasn't even an issue. The police weren't worried about him. He wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
He wasn't really out there doing any crazy shit like Tupac was. He was just rapping and trying to defend himself from being attacked.
Yeah.
I'm not really a Biggie fan, but I mean, we've all got to admit, Tupac was kind of I know he accused Biggie of the shooting in New York, but Tupac was the aggressor in that whole situation.
Right. What do you think of Gene Deal going off on Vlad? I'm not sure if you saw that video.
I saw a little bit of it. I think you sent it to me.
Yeah.
Or maybe it might have been you, but yeah, he was talking about where he was saying that Vlad wasn't going to pay him enough.
Right.
Or something like that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to believe with that. Like, I believe. So bottom line is we know now because it got out that Vlad, I think he paid Keefe a little bit of money, right?
Right. As I imagined Vlad would. I mean,
that's a big story.
Exactly. It would have been dumb for Vlad not to get that interview, and the only way he could have got that interview was to pay him. And Vlad pays for interviews. Like,
right.
And if you got the money, go ahead, do what you like. I don't got a problem. We want the story. Your phone is messed up. I can't even hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that was kind of Keefe's, first real sit-down interview where he kind of went into depth and stuff. So It was worth it for him to pay him. But as far as Gene, I almost this is just my opinion. Like I said, I could be wrong about this. My opinion is that Gene knew Keefe D got paid money, so he reached out to Vlad. Vlad reached out to him, however it happened, and then Gene is the one that brought up money. And I bet Vlad was probably like, I don't know, I don't really pay for interviews. Like, I don't pay for interviews. I mean, we might be able to give you like $500 or something. Like, just kind of like tossing it out there. And then Gene was like, no, that's not enough. Gene's probably like doesn't understand the way money works for interviews. He probably thinks he's gonna get like 10 grand for an interview.
Yo, you should have seen the full video. I was only able to, because I screen recorded that video, and people were asking him about Gene, and Vlad was just like, yo, Gene is ridiculous. He thinks he knows how much I make a video, how much I make off interviews or videos, and he heard that I paid Keefe, so he wanted like a ridiculous amount, and I said, hey man, no way, I'm not doing that. And it's funny because what is Gene gonna like? Gene has to. It's all boiled down to making up shit and accusations that can't be verified, because and he did this himself. He devalued his he's not that valuable anymore because he's already told his story. You already told it with MREC. You did your 3 parts. and that was it. Like, well, what else are you gonna say? Like, what else? You know what I mean? And
Right.
and Gene is like barking in that video saying, "Yo, don't try to minimize Big Gene. Try to maximize Big Gene." Like, bro. So, why do you ask Big Gene about the Ja Rule and 50 situation? I'm like, yo, Vlad doesn't care about that situation. He's specifically gonna get you on for what you know about Biggie and the night he died and what you already talked about, and like, you know what I mean? Like, that's your own fault. You should have waited
Right.
until you talked to Vlad. Now he's not gonna
You
pay
know,
you anything.
and I also look at, as far as Gene's value for Vlad, like this. Okay, so you take Russell Poole's theory, right? It's already been on national television along with Greg Kading's theory and along with Randall Sullivan's theory that Suge killed Tupac. So they took, on the Fox special, they took all those theories and they investigated them one by one to see which one made the most sense. Russell Poole's and Randall Sullivan's, theirs got dismissed as not real. So Vlad took the time and he spent years cultivating this perfect storyline by interviewing everyone involved in Death Row, Tupac's life, everything, getting it all the way down, leading up to this like pinnacle moment where he interviews Keefe D and gets everything from him. But everything leading up to Keefe D were stories that matched and corroborated what Keefe D said. So why would Vlad pay someone a bunch of money to basically come along with a theory that has already been debunked 100 times and just throw away years of his hard work?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he put years of hard work into those interviews, and then why would he pay someone 10 grand or however much he wanted to come along with his story, which is basically just the Russell Poole story,
Right.
and just kind of make everyone feel like the last 2 years of interviews that he did might not be true. You know, just kind of muddy the waters with misinformation that's already been debunked.
Right.
So
And then all
that's
this,
the way I look at it.
I kind of ask myself, like, what does this boil down to? What are you trying to get out of this? It seems only money, because every time
Right.
you got to speak on something, you want to do an interview, everybody has to pay you. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
what is this about? Your story? Is it about you? Is it about what you saw? Are you trying to get justice? Like, what is it? I mean, I read all these comments, and I think some people really see it, that he repeats himself. He talks about nothing. It's nothing but hot air. And I saw one comment on his video saying, little by little, more information is coming out when Gene could have said everything at once, but he's trying to make money like everyone else.
Right. Yeah. This day and age, you know, in this day and age, you come out with a story, something big happens, you're on No Jumper, you're on Vlad, you're on Drink Champs, you're like making the rounds, telling your story to everyone. You're on Big Boy, you know, you're going around doing your interviews. And I feel like with Gene, I feel like maybe, you know, yeah, he genuinely did care about Biggie, they were friends, whatever. But I also feel like a lot of it is just for fame, attention, money.
Yeah.
He was hoping to be able to retire, put this story out there, put a book out, maybe a documentary, a TV show, make the rounds on all these podcasts, these radio shows, you know, get some attention, get some money, basically do what Greg Kading did. And Greg Kading came along right before him, took the rug out from under him, and he's pissed. And that's why he focuses so much on trying to say, like, oh, he's some corrupt cop from the LAPD. Like, he just shits on him every day, and Greg doesn't give two shits about him. You know, like, Gene could sit there and try to debunk or shit on Greg all day long. It doesn't even make Greg sweat. Like, he knows that Gene is so wrong that he doesn't even, like, sweat it. He doesn't worry at all.
Right.
He just kind of laughs it off and moves on to the next question.
Yeah, man. It is, hold on, I'm reading some comments.
But that's cool. Like, back
who
to
was-
the Reggie thing.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
My whole thing is just this. Like, my whole point. Like, I don't think I said anything malicious before this day about Gene. The only thing I've said, like, especially today in this stream, probably because of what he said, he was trying to insinuate that he's gonna see me and something gonna happen to me, like, you know what I mean? So, you know, what is this like? What is this about? And like, what are we doing here? Like, this dude is like worse than Tekashi 6ix9ine. Every time I expect him to see him on live stream tomorrow, you know, barking and like, bro, like,
Yeah.
You're gonna have a
And you
heart
know what
attack
it
one of these
is?
days if you don't calm the fuck down.
And you know what it is? It's pure ego. Like, you dared question something he said, so he gets super defensive, he attacks. You know, that's why, like, Reggie, like, when they wanted to have a debate between Greg Kading and Gene, it would have never worked because Gene cannot handle someone questioning
Bro, that's
him
what
because he just
right.
yells and screams and talks over him.
That's my only point to all this. Like, bro, if you're so right and everybody's so wrong, get on Gene, get on the phone with Greg Kading. Just if he's so wrong, why don't you do a debate? Do it on your channel, like, you know what I
And
mean? Like,
Greg has said 100 times he'll do it in a heartbeat. He doesn't care. He'll
Gene
do it
won't do it
whenever.
because Gene is a coward. That's what it is, and this is a whole money
Right.
gimmick for himself.
Right,
I
and
guarantee
he
you.
knows.
Yeah, go ahead.
He knows that when he talks to Greg on the phone and Greg starts dropping names, documents, events, dates, he starts getting into the details, the facts of the case, Gene isn't going to have an answer for half that shit. He's just going to be like, but I saw the dude with the peanut head.
And the bow tie.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
But
so did millions of other people. Go ahead.
yeah, but you know, like I said, I think it comes down. It's all about ego. I think that's why he was going after you, is because you dared question what he said, and that's why I think that he still, after all this time, is holding on to this whole Amir Muhammad thing. I think in his mind, his ego is so big that he is never wrong. Like, he can't be wrong. He knows what he saw, and what he saw was Amir Muhammad, and nobody's going to tell him any different. And if you do, fuck you. You know what I mean? It's just all ego. Like, he knows what he saw, and he's not wrong.
Right.
And that's just like what it comes down to. He's not open to the idea that he could possibly be wrong.
I think he's dug himself in a hole so deep that he just can't get out of it. He might as well. And I really start to question his sanity. Like, is he real? Like, is he real about that, or he knows? You know what I mean? Like, is that dude got, like, what do you call this? What do you call that thing when people, like, forget? When older people.
Alzheimer's.
Yeah,
Alzheimer's.
yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, does he? I'm starting to question that. Does he have that? And, like, he never addresses Psycho Mike. Psycho Mike is the source of that whole Amir Muhammad thing. Psycho Mike
Right.
was a fucking psycho. Like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
who made that whole thing up?
Psycho Mike recanted. We did a video on it. Other people have done videos on it. Psycho Mike, literally every single thing he said, like, literally 99.9% of everything he said was debunked. It was factually incorrect. Like, you know, he said that Amir Muhammad was a Crip and that he did all this shit. He lived in Compton. And, like, Amir Muhammad was a mortgage broker that lived in San Diego. So, like, it just, like, everything he said was wrong. And then he starts bringing up Phil Carson, which I've got documents to shit all over that.
Yeah.
Phil Carson is just as nuts as
Gene
Russell
likes to bring up Phil Carson. Like, FBI. Oh, the FBI interviewed. Oh, the
Phil
FBI.
Carson.
If you lie to FBI. But
And what a lot of people that listen to Gene now, because some of them are newer, like, just kind of got into all this,
yeah,
they don't realize Phil Carson only got into the Biggie shit because he saw an MTV documentary in 2003 of Russell Poole shit, and then he went to meet with Russell Poole, and then Russell Poole gave him a list of people to go talk to. And so he basically just redid the same investigation Russell Poole had already done. He went and talked to the same people and got the same stories that were given to Russell Poole. So of course he believes what Russell Poole believes, because he basically just did his homework over again. You get what I'm saying?
right.
Like, if you talk to the same people that Russell Poole talked to, they're going to tell you the same shit. And not to mention, official documents have come out from Phil Carson's superiors at the FBI and the state attorney, who said that he didn't have shit, that they dropped the case because he felt like he had this bombshell case, but he didn't have anything sufficient for prosecution, so they dropped it.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, so basically, Phil Carson is full of shit too. So
somebody said, Gene been talking since 1997. You guys must be young. I'm like, yeah, 1997. He's been changing the story since 1997. I'll tell you that much.
yeah, and Gene hasn't been talking since 1997. He did that documentary in '98, and then he never said a damn word until like a few years ago.
Yeah.
And in 1998, he was on that
Broomfield.
Broomfield's documentary, right? And then he wants to, like Reggie said in his response video, he wants to call Reggie a snitch for cooperating, which he didn't. But then we got Gene on the Nick Broomfield documentary sitting here looking at a 6-pack lineup, pointing people out. I mean, isn't that the same damn thing?
All right. Look, somebody said both of y'all wouldn't even speak the bullshit you both speak on Gene in his face. It's funny how you two like to disrespect this black man, Gene.
Oh God, it's
Now
gotta
he
be
pulled
hard
out the
because
race
it's
card. Now he
black.
pulled out the race card. Dean, who's
Yeah.
been bodyguarding in the industry for years. He's one hell of a
First of
bodyguard, I'll tell
all,
you that much.
what does Adam 22 say? Here's the tough ass card or whatever. You don't get points because you can beat somebody up. Like to be like, oh, you wouldn't say this to his face. So what? So what? Because Gene is big and if we said this to his face, he might punch us in the face. Somehow that means what he said is right. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, oh, you wouldn't say this to his face. What? Because Gene can't handle hearing facts, so he would get violent because he can't handle a rational debate. Like that just like you get what I'm saying? Like, what kind of argument is that? Like, oh well, my guy could beat your guy's ass, so my guy's right.
Mm.
Suck my fucking
Like, get the
dick,
hell out of here. That's the
stupid.
dumbest argument ever.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah, and somebody said Gene has never changed his story.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, people have never done their
We
homework.
he literally played a clip earlier in this video where he changed his story in the clip.
Right.
And there was another clip where he said, if you want to know what happened to Tupac, go listen to Keefe D. And then a few months later, he's saying Keefe D's lying.
Mm.
His
Stupid.
stories
I'm
just
not.
consistently. The only story that hasn't changed is he saw a Muslim guy in a bow tie right before Biggie got killed. And
Stupid.
2 years after the fact, he pointed him out in a lineup. After he had pointed
Stupid.
somebody else out in a lineup before that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's not reliable. I mean, people are going to believe him if they want to believe him, because at the end of the day, people who want to believe him, they believe him because they've already made up their mind, and he's telling them what they want to hear. So
Stupid.
those people aren't open to the facts. They just want to hear that what I believe is right.
Mm. Yeah, it
Let's
is.
see.
Who told you that? Gene misidentified the.
Yeah, Gene misidentified. You know, he's right. He's talking about the dude when Gene was first shown the lineup and he circled somebody else. And this is the thing that's funny about that, though. This is what's weird, because Gene always tries to skate around that by saying, I wasn't saying he was the guy at the Peterson. I was saying he looked like him. But the reason that doesn't add up is because if you look at the guy he circled in that lineup, he looks nothing like Amir Muhammad. So you get what I'm saying? Like, he's trying to skate around it by being like, well, no, I didn't mean that was him. I just meant he looked like the guy I saw. But then whenever he pointed out Amir Muhammad, those two looked nothing alike. So if the guy you circled looked nothing like Amir Muhammad, why did you circle him? It's just like, bottom line, like what you said earlier, he talks himself into a corner, and then when he gets stuck, he comes up with some bullshit to try to like make an excuse to get out of it.
Yeah.
Just like with the picture thing where he's pretending there's some hidden picture that the FBI took. And that's another thing that I said was special pleading. He's trying to say that the FBI was surveilling that night and has all these photos that they're keeping secret. But everybody in the FBI, you know, there's documented stuff showed the FBI was no longer following them. Their cover had been blown by Puffy the night before, and there was no point in tailing them for the rest of the weekend because their cover had been blown. So they left town. But Gene is trying to act like there's this top secret FBI photo that everyone's keeping hidden. And that's another one of his little things where he brings up something that you can't ever prove or disprove. It's just some bullshit he throws out there to basically cover his ass.
Yeah, somebody said, okay, why is Amir Muhammad in the lineup if he's so innocent?
Because Psycho Mike, who later recanted and said everything he made up was a lie and that he was going to be paid for doing it, he gave the police the name Amir Muhammad.
Right.
And also, if Amir Muhammad was the one that was there, why did Lil Cease and G Money, who were both in the car with Biggie when he was killed, they were both shown a picture with Amir Muhammad's photo, and neither one of them circled him in that lineup? Why is Gene the only one that is confident he saw Amir Muhammad that night? Nobody else. There's not a soul on earth that claims they saw Amir Muhammad at the Peterson that night except Gene. He's literally the only soul on earth that's ever claimed that.
Right. Somebody else said Gene Deal's telling the truth. Go ask the other bodyguards. I got that interview coming soon. Just watch. What other bodyguards are backing up his story?
Right. Yeah. There's not. Because, yeah, there's not. If there were other bodyguards that witnessed what happened to Biggie that night, they would have already been interviewed by the FBI. Greg Kading would already know about him. Period.
It looks like somebody's insinuated that I chop up his Gene's earlier interviews that I played.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, it was chopped up to show
Right.
the one part of him switching his story.
Right. Somebody
Yeah.
says, right, I can chop up a video of your president saying he loves Mexicans.
God.
Bro, I could send you the links to those interviews, and
I know.
nothing was like tampered with or anything. They're both
Right.
original. I just put them side by side, basically.
Right. You can go to my YouTube channel, Kenneth McLean, and you can see a Gene video on there where he says that if you want to know what happened to Tupac, go listen to Keefe D. And then a few months later, he said Keefe D was lying.
Yeah, I think it shows you that Gene's just, he reacts off emotion.
Right.
That's all. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want to make this too much of a long stream. Any last words? Anything you want to tell people before we get out of here?
Real quick. I just want to respond to one person. CDT said, "How do you know this stuff?"
By
Because
reading.
we've been following it for years. We've personally spoken to Reggie, Greg Kading, other people. We've read we've read documents. We follow along. We don't just
Called doing
watch
homework.
a YouTube. We're not just listening to what someone says in a video and then choosing to believe it.
Yeah, it's just crazy, man.
So there's plenty of FBI documents out there. There's plenty of police documents. There's plenty of photos, videos. There's plenty of information out there if you really want to look. But anyway, so no, I'm good. I don't have anything else to say. I just wanted to add that in there.
All right, man. Man, free Reggie. Shout out to
Yeah,
him. He'll be out soon.
Yeah.
Keep your head up. Anybody who wants to write Reggie, I'll put that in the comments and the description.
Yeah.
Man,
USP Atwater. USP Atwater is the prison he's at.
Yeah.
So,
Anybody want?
fine.
Yeah, free Shotty, free Reggie Wright, free everybody.
Yep.
Free Suge, man. We out of here.
Yep.
It's
All right.
AGTV.